Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're putting on our digital forensic investigator hats. We are going to dissect a deliberate system crash to uncover its secrets, zooming in on the source material from Lesson 23, the 500-node bottleneck. Now, we're going to look really closely at what exactly happens when a system is pushed way, way past its breaking point, and map out exactly how and why that collapse occurs. You know, when we talk about bottlenecks in networking, we usually think of external bandwidth limits, right? Or maybe bad routing tables. But this specific lesson isolates something much more fundamental about system architecture. So let's get right into it.
So you might be wondering, why on earth would we intentionally crash a system? Well, while we as builders and engineers spend the vast majority of our time trying to keep architecture running smoothly, sometimes a controlled demolition is literally the best diagnostic tool we have. We're going to explore a very specific activity from Lesson 23 that's designed to test the absolute physical limits of a network. Sometimes the only way to truly understand how a structure is built and exactly where its hidden stress fractures are hiding is to just watch how it falls apart under extreme calculated pressure.
Section 1. The System Crash Simulation. Okay, we're skipping the dry theory today. Instead, we're diving straight into a digital disaster scenario to see how a network operates under severe, crushing stress. We aren't looking at best-case scenarios here. We're going straight to the worst case. The core activity outlined in the source is literally called a system crash simulation. And there is a real wonderful irony in intentionally crashing your own computer just to learn about system architecture. It's a deliberate demolition. In a digital environment, a controlled demolition means we isolate the variables, we crank up the load exponentially, and we record exactly which services hang, where ping timeouts start, or when kernel panics happen first. By forcing this failure, we get a front-row seat to the specific architectural bottlenecks that bring the whole thing to a grinding halt. Moving on to Section 2, launching 500 virtual nodes. What's really wild here is the sheer scale of the stress test we're hitting the system with. We aren't just giving the network a little nudge to see if it wobbles, we are dropping a massive concurrent load right on its head. And the magic number for this catastrophic failure? It's 500. The simulation attempts to launch exactly 500 virtual nodes simultaneously. Now, just think about the math behind that for a second. Launching 1 or 2 concurrent processes is a total breeze. Launching 20, pretty standard. But asking a system to suddenly, instantly accommodate 500 distinct virtual entities, all waking up at the exact same millisecond, that introduces a massive scaling problem. Because we aren't dealing with linear complexity here. If every single node needs to be aware of every other node, the number of potential connections scales quadratically. It quickly approaches O of n squared complexity. That is an absolute recipe for a massive, instantaneous bottleneck.
But to really grasp why this fails, context is absolutely everything. We are operating entirely on the local loopback network. This is crucial. These 500 nodes aren't spread out across some massive global infrastructure. They aren't distributed among giant server farms with endless bandwidth or sitting safely behind sophisticated load balancers. Nope, they are entirely constrained to the local loopback interface on a single machine. They're trapped in a closed, isolated environment, essentially just talking to themselves on a single computer's hardware. And that means they are all competing for the exact same physical resources, the same memory bus, the same network stack in the operating system kernel, and the exact same CPU cycles. There's no external network latency to act as a buffer here. It is an immediate, localized flood.
Section 3, CPU footprints and loops.
So, launching this many nodes locally introduces a series of immediate, fatal technical bottlenecks. The physical hardware simply cannot sustain the localized pressure being generated. Our system autopsy reveals 3 main culprits, explicitly identified in the text, that drag the entire system down. First up, we have CPU footprints. Every single one of those 500 nodes runs its own thread or process, meaning they all demand a tiny slice of processing power from the host machine's central processor for every minor state change. Second, we have loops. In a confined local network, data is just continuously cycling back on itself. Broadcast packets generated by the nodes bounce through the local TCP/IP stack, creating this compounding traffic that never actually leaves the machine. And third, we have topic discovery overhead. Together, these 3 elements combine to form a perfect storm of resource consumption, completely suffocating the system's ability to schedule tasks.
Which brings us to Section 4, topic discovery overhead.
We really need to isolate one of those dense technical terms to understand the core trigger of this failure. Because while CPU limits and loops are definitely a problem, topic discovery overhead is the catalyst that lights the match. Topic discovery overhead is the systemic strain caused when network nodes attempt to identify and communicate with each other. The classic analogy works perfectly here. Imagine 500 people crammed into a tiny room, all trying to introduce themselves to everyone else at the exact same millisecond. They all need to know who is in the room, what topics they're discussing, and exactly how to reach them. Looking at the actual network mechanics, this translates to hundreds of simultaneous handshake protocols, broadcast norms, and peer-to-peer pinging physically saturating the local interface. The sheer noise, the packet collisions, and the raw processing power required just to parse the headers of all these connection requests requires an immense amount of energy. The overhead alone absolutely crushes the local loopback network before a single byte of actual payload data is even sent.
Section 5. Experiencing discovery exhaustion.
That chaotic, crowded room scenario we just talked about, that leads us straight to the ultimate breaking point of the entire simulation. The breaking point is explicitly defined in our source as discovery exhaustion. Under the immense, crushing weight of those compounding CPU footprints and the endless, redundant network loops, the system just completely succumbs. It simply cannot process the mountain of discovery requests. But what does that actually look like under the hood? Well, the host machine doesn't just slow down, it starts aggressively dropping packets because the interface queues are totally overflowing. We start seeing thread starvation, where the CPU is so incredibly busy handling network interrupts that the actual node applications just freeze. The system is fundamentally exhausted by the mere act of the nodes trying to find each other, bringing all operations to a sudden, fatal halt.
Tracing this chronological domino effect, the whole chain of events becomes incredibly clear. Step 1. We attempt to launch 500 virtual nodes simultaneously on an isolated loopback network. Step 2. The network instantly floods with topic discovery overhead as they all try to introduce themselves, creating this massive internal broadcast storm. Step 3. The host CPU footprints max out as processing demand spikes, which is severely aggravated by the continuous data loops cycling through the local network stack. Step 4. Unable to clear the queues, the entire system experiences discovery exhaustion, and inevitably, Step 5, a total system crash. It's a precise sequential collapse triggered entirely by asking a localized hardware environment to handle exponentially too much simultaneous communication. Which brings us to our core conclusion, understanding the 500-node bottleneck. This simulation is just such a perfect visualization of why understanding a system's physical and architectural limitations is absolutely crucial before you ever deploy code. You have to anticipate how your software is going to behave when the digital room gets too crowded. The 500-node bottleneck isn't just a random error, it is a clear demonstration that resource exhaustion is a very real mathematical limit that must be counted for in system design. Think about how this applies to your own work. If you're spinning up modern microservices, running complex containerized applications, or even just running a heavy Docker Compose stack in your local dev environment, these local loopback limitations apply directly to you. How resilient is your architecture when internal communication suddenly spikes? As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a final provocative thought to chew on regarding the fragility and the design of the massive networks we rely on every single day. If just 500 local nodes can cause a total system collapse through discovery exhaustion, how in the world do massive global networks survive? Think about the incredible architectural engineering, the intelligent load balancing, and the sophisticated topic management required to prevent that exact same crash on a scale of billions of nodes. It really gives you a whole new appreciation for the sheer complexity of the digital infrastructure we live in. Thanks for joining me for this breakdown, and keep asking those big questions.